Coming up here on the Link the Breeze. Right now, though, here to do a reading from the book of Department of Revenue and Taxation. The director, Dafne Shimizu. What's up, Dav? You're kind of like...
Good morning.
Happy day, everyone. Happy day, Jason.
You're kind of cathedral famous in here.
You know what? Cathedral has been our parish. We got married there back in 2002. We were the second ones to get married. My husband and I, we were the second ones to get married in the Chapel of St. Therese. So the cathedral is very important to us. And of course, you know, in 2014, I began to be a lector there, and I'm grateful that, of course, Auntie Lulu and, you know, the team there who takes care of it all, that they're very excited to have me and on and allow me to contribute and serve. So, you know, when Auntie Lulu calls and asks if we are available to read, you know, I absolutely make sure that I take the time. It's a good way to serve. You know what? I'll share with you. In my past, I actually had been involved with other parishes where, you know, I tried to assist them with doing financials and things, and that. To try to do financials during the day and financial work, and then try to do financial work kind of outside of that was pretty challenging. So it's nice to be able to be a lector and to contribute my time that way. And again, you know, thanks for tuning in, because I know, you know, of course, Archbishop, it's very important to him that we be able to share, of course, continue to share the Mass. And early on when we did, of course, shut down, you know, back in March, and we were not able to attend Mass for several months. The first time that I was able to go back into our church was so emotional. And actually, even the first time I watched, you know, and thank you to KUAM, your stations, because, you know, you guys have been so supportive of making sure that, you know, you stream and you get, you know, the Masses out to our people. But, you know, the first time that I actually watched our Mass on TV, I was very emotional. I was very emotional because the reality that we can't step into the church and be with, you know, be there to share and service together, and to, you know, praise God together. That was very, very emotional. So, you know, it's great that we're still able to do that and to make sure that, especially those people who are health compromised, and, you know, of course, right now, because we're not able to actually attend Mass within the church, we're doing parking lot Mass right now. That is great to get that out there and to have people be able to participate in something that's, you know, hopefully uplifting and keeps people focused on, you know, I think Dr. Cabrera might have said it earlier, probably is, you know, we just kind of have to continue to pray. And I think, you know, that's kind of been our theme, and hoping that we can continue to, you know, keep people focused on things. It's a challenging time, Bree and Chris, and you know that. And, you know, of course, our jobs outside of what we normally do, if we have the opportunity to serve, you know, I think that that's very important. So, but I know that you guys want to talk to me a little bit about Mengafa. I know that that's probably, I think, one of the larger questions that we have, and that's the Ajuda y Mengafa Help for Families program. You know, we talked a little bit about that in the last couple of weeks when I talked with you a while ago. You know, we did Refund Tax, we did work to make sure we follow the law, and we did provide draft rules and regs back in August 11, and that was within the time frame allowed by the law. At the time that we did provide those, we did, though, you know, give notice to the legislative body that there were some issues that we believe that existed with the language, which we believe was important to adjust, just so that way, you know, the law truly addresses and will pay the people the way that, you know, it was intended. Last week, September 2nd, I believe, when our legislature, I guess, was finally done with budget talks, you know, they were in session. During that time, Senator Shelton did introduce, or was able to get, the Ajuda y Mengafa amended bills and rules and regs onto the session agenda. So we were able to adjust those. Of course, when we did submit our original rules and regs, we based it on the law at that time. We also, I guess, had to work to make sure that we, in the event that there were changes in the law, that we were able to make those changes, you know, right away. You know, we've had to try to be as agile as possible. So we made those changes and we were able to get those in, and we're thankful to our legislative body. The changes, and that was Bill 392 and Bill 393-35, those actually were all voted on in session, I believe on September 2, and those were there. It was unanimous. All 14 senators who were present, voted in favor of it. Of course, this is something again that we're, working to make sure that we get out to our people. The idea behind the Ajuda Imengafa was, of course, to address the issue of, the gap that was left by the CARES Act. We know that back in March when President Trump signed, the CARES Act, of course, we know that there was a lot of pressure for Congress to get, the CARES Act passed, and there was so much involved in the CARES Act, and it wasn't until weeks after the CARES Act passed that it was discovered, or it was, there were certain gaps identified, and, those gaps were for those families who had students who were in college, if they're up to age 23, and then also those families who had dependents who were disabled. And, even as we were processing EIP, I got called from friends, family members who have dependents who were, disabled, but they were not qualified for EIP because they were over age 16. And for those people, they were not able to qualify. And so again, this particular program helps to bridge that gap. Now, on the Refund Tax side, and of course the governor does have, I believe, until Monday, this coming Monday, next Monday, that's the 10th day after session. I believe how it's counted is it's calendar days, but you discount Sundays. So, I haven't had the opportunity to meet with Governor on this. Of course, I have discussed with Governor's Office Legal Counsel, briefly. And on the DRT side, what we're doing is working to lay the foundation for, a quick implementation. The way that the law is structured is that DRT has 15 business days from the time that this becomes law to implement. We are definitely not going to wait the 15 days. We're trying our best to get it all laid out so that once it becomes law, we're ready to pull the trigger. Chris and Sabrina, we know, we see every day our people suffering. And, I think, there's this balance that we're trying to make. And, we just saw heard about our 21st fatality and due to this virus. I want to say condolences to all of the families, to Mayor Solis from Assen. I think that the sharing of his story, his daughter passing, and, that was very moving, obviously, and to hear, from Dr. Cabrera earlier about the people that we have, in our ICU. And, I've been hospitalized myself. I know how scary it is to be hospitalized. I know that, to have, your family or somebody there to support you is important. And I can't even imagine what it's like to be in the hospital and not to be able to have your loved ones, by you. And, I'm sure it must be very scary. So, we definitely have to be praying for all of those families. And so, from DRT perspective, we do have people that are activated already to prepare to lay the foundation so we can implement this program, because we do recognize, again, we have a lot of people who are in need, and it's a very challenging time for many of us. So, in regards to Ajuda Imengafa, we do recognize that, of course, we are currently in PCOR 1, and we're at Refund Tax. We actually have we've identified, I guess, two types of PCOR 1. We call one relaxed PCOR 1, and the other we call restrictive PCOR 1. And relaxed PCOR 1 is where we're actually able to activate people in the office. Our collections person is at the Treasurer of Guam down at ITC building, and we actually have active people checking the mail. Restricted PCOR 1, we are calling it restricted PCOR 1, and that was, of course, when the Treasury was closed, and really we were trying so hard not to move any people at all, and so almost nobody was mobile in our office. And so, during this relaxed PCOR 1, we do have people activated. We have people in our income tax section, EDP, central files. We have our business license group who is also working to support some of our enforcement measures. We have our enforcement group who also supports public health and works on identifying essential and non-essential businesses and working to address that. We have our real property group who's, of course, working to get our real property tax roll certified in October, because we need that so we can send out our notices in December. We have so many people. We have our driver's license group, and I want to thank you for getting me on and allowing me to talk a little bit about our driver's license form. I'm happy to say that people are actually doing renewals by mail for our driver's license. I think it's exciting because, now people are able to actually submit their forms. People have been sending it in the mail, dropping it on our Dropbox, and our team is able to now go in and, not customer facing, be able to process somebody's, driver's license and to get that out. I'm sorry, but I know I'm skipping around a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about MNGAFA really quickly. I want to share, I was able to talk with Executive Director Angel Sablan from our Mayor's Council. I want to thank them for always being supportive. When we did have EIP, our mayors made sure that they had available all of the EIP forms at their mayor's offices. So, Executive Director Sablan already had advised that once we do have the forms available, and our team is working hard to finalize those forms now, but once we have them available, that he will distribute those to our mayors so that, of course, our people won't have to go too far from their homes if they are not able to get the forms or print them. I also asked him about, of course, the capabilities of our mayors, and if there are, access to computers for our people, at the mayor's offices. And he said that's something that's being worked on. So, even though we haven't yet implemented the MNGAFA program, we're working to lay the foundation, and we're trying to make it so that once it's ready to be implemented and we're fully pulled the trigger on it, that we're ready and the forms are out. And so those are all the things that we're working on MNGAFA. I want to share though with you something that we haven't done a media release on yet, and this is actually probably the first media outlet that we're going to share this with, but we already have launched also, and I find this exciting. I know it might be something small, but for those people who have already passed the written exam, if you have a child who's passed the written exam and they need their permit, we've actually launched the form for that. It's already on our website. We're calling it a mail service form for permits. And we, so for people who, again, if you need a permit for your motorcycle license, instructional permits, and your permits because you've just passed your written exam and you need your permit so you could drive, you can actually do that by mail now. So, these are all things, for me, progress is happiness.
Right. Daph, you keep answering all the things I was going to ask, but we're just going to
have another question.
Yeah, and we wanted to ask.
But for me, every step that we make forward is helpful. So, we really, I've challenged our team, and I'm grateful that they're receptive to it, but we're really working to try to move forward and try to get as many things to be non-customer facing so that we can, help to reduce this spread or prevent exposure, but still somehow provide some balance so that we are able to still provide service. And, that's really, for us and, Sabrina and Chris, I think I mentioned this before, that this restricting or this kind of tightening and relaxing and tightening and relaxing, this is going to be our normal, for a while. Even if we do get a vaccine, I've talked with some people who are not, willing to probably be the first people to get vaccinated because they're also worried about, the potential side effects that may happen.
Daphne, let me ask you about this. The 65 million, I understand, Section 30 funds, you guys received that. The announcement came from the Department of the Interior. And as we all know, the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act, a portion of that money is supposed to go to war claims. Do you have a figure on how much of that 65 million is going to be going to pay war claims?
No, Sabrina, I don't have that amount. My understanding is that, of course, that the Section 30 monies that we receive because of the Foreign War Claims Act is going to be capped at a certain level. That's because, of course, monies are going to be set aside for war claims. Now, in terms of how much that is, I don't have that amount, and perhaps that's something that Director Byrne or Director Carlson might be able to share. But we have, for me, I actually have been in communication with the Department of Interior and the IRS, because we know that around this time is when we do begin to receive those monies, and of course get the notification of the cover-overs to Guam.
Daph, let me just bust in here real quick. To our viewers on KUAM TV 11, thank you so much for watching and listening to the link on the Breeze 93.9. We're KUAM FM and Hagatna, Guam. Again, TV 11. Esta. Jump on over to our KUAM News Facebook Live, or again, the KUAM News app, KUAM.com, or right here on the radio. It's the Breeze 93.9. Dafne Shimizu, Refund Tax Director. I don't even know where to look at what camera. Let me just, hey, right on. Yeah, there you go. Sajos. Daph, if we could just on the tax refunds, we're getting a lot of comments. So what's the status of the payments? Are we complying with the court order? Because I keep seeing a lot of chatter here. So just if you could.
So with regards to the tax payments, we are actually, refund tax payments, we're actually at February 10 as of last week, and every week we do process. And so, we continue to process every week. Of course, our charge is to make sure that we do follow the requirements of the permanent injunction, which require that we make payments within 6 months of the due date, or the date that, the due date or the date that is filed, whichever's later. Our team is, that's their charge, and that's, something we make sure that we do. If people run into problems, if they believe that, that's not the case, we do have people who are at the office, and we do have people who are answering calls so that we can make sure that we're working to make payments, timely to our people. That's something that's been very important. I know even in the last year, as we've been working, again, to make sure we've been paying, early on last year in 2019, we didn't really have a system. It was, there were points where my team would, come to me and advise that, if we didn't make a payment within a few days, we were going to be in violation of the permanent injunction. And that's why, we work to, have a systematic way of making payments, which is, of course, the weekly payment structure. During this shutdown, we actually have, we missed a week 2 weeks ago, but what we did was we actually had 2 check runs last week. We had one right in the beginning of the week and one right at the end of the week. And so, our charge is to make sure we follow, and that's, of course, what we, do our best to work to do.
So are we, February 10th, you said we paid up to February 10th, so the 6 months would be March 10th, right? So we're a little bit behind?
No, so it's, so how it works is it's
Okay.
6 months from the due date or 6 months from the filing date, whichever's later. And so, usually in a year, of course, this year the due date was July 15, but usually in a usual year, that means 6 months from, we start counting at April 15.
Okay.
And that's because it's the later of the dates, and it's actually when a return is A status. So, it's very important, Chris and Sabrina, people submit their tax returns, but they don't attach their W-2s. They don't, complete it properly. Some people don't sign their returns. And we notice that some people even, fill out their returns using pencil sometimes. So, those are things that, it's very important to be mindful. If you submit an incomplete return, if you don't have proper attachments, we don't start counting because it's not a complete return. And that's going to be, again, very important. And I know, there's a lot of, awareness and education perhaps that has to be done. But, we do see that those as cases where people aren't signing their return or not providing the proper documents. And those are the things that perhaps may cause some delays.
How many processed refunds are waiting for payment for 2019?
I don't have, what we do is we submit to and let's see if I could find it. We submit to the legislature, of course, our refund liability report on a monthly basis, and it's due on the 15th of every month. I was just actually looking at our refund liability report earlier. So I do believe that as of July, and our next refund liability report will not be due until September 15.
Mm-hmm.
So our team is going to be working on that. But if you just give me a second, I can tell you our refund liability report for July. I was just actually discussing this with my team. Okay, so for 2019 returns, we have seen, and actually we have processed quite a few already. Sorry, Chris and Sabrina.
Well, you finally slowed down.
No, so I mean, no, excuse me, because I get very excited. And,
I know, Daf.
I
I know.
Because I tend to talk very quickly when I get excited. But so for 2019, as of July 31, and we ran this report August 1, we had received 44,199 returns for 2019. Of those, we have paid out for 2019 returns as of that time, processed and paid for 2019 returns, 33 million. I know that Director Byrne was on the radio the other day. I did talk with him the other morning about our refunds, because as of September 4, we actually have paid out 87 million. But as you know, what happens is, there are still some refunds from prior years that are being paid, even though we're, as we go along, we're still paying out some prior year returns, or refunds. So we have paid about 33 million in 2019 returns as of July 31. But I know that in total, we paid about $87 million this fiscal year for total returns for all years.
Uh-huh. And you talked a lot about MNGOFA. When are the payments going to go out, or do we have to wait for the governor to sign a law, the two bills?
So, the way that the bill is structured, and this was something that both Senator Teichler and Senator Shelton did talk with me about, was, because the law the original law, and then even this amended, the original law did not have an actual implementation date. The original law only addressed an application period, and the application period is a 30 business days period. 30 business days from the date of implementation.
Right.
So the current law actually states that the implementation date is no more than 15 days from the date that this becomes law. We're not going to wait until, of course, the 15 days. We're not, in fact, we're not even waiting until, of course, Governor does sign, to be working on the background to try to get these out. We've already, we've already, again, in terms of the rules and regs and what's involved and what's going to be required, those information is already pretty much available in terms, at least in, if we look at the bill 393-35, the amended version, we had tried to make it very clear in the rules and regs exactly what was going to be involved. And so, those are things that our team, as soon as, actually, we are just trying to finalize certain things, but
right. But this is still a CARES Act money that's going to be used to fund this MNGOFA program.
So the way that the law is written, it's, and excuse me, do you mind if I just look really quickly? Because there is language in the law, and the language in the law states that as long as there's still, hold on, media. It states that no local funds may be used for the program as long as CARES Act funds are available to encumber, obligate, or expend. Now, the source of the funding, that's something that, of course, I have discussed and advised DOA and BBMR that, these are, the source of the funding is not actually DRT's technical. We're not the SMEs on that. The source of funding is really, determined, of course, by the cash flow management. The people who are primarily responsible for cash flow management, and that's DOA and, of course, BBMR. Our side of this this program is just making sure that we work to administer. So, right. There was language, Sabrina, to answer your question, there's language in the law that, of course, refers to the CARES Act funds, right. But the actual source of the funds is something that I'm not sure.
Man, I just wish.
I remember the debate on session floor and the arguments about it, because they were saying that the 10 million would come from the CARES Act funds, and then there was a whole debate on why are we even bothering with this bill, because you don't legislate
CARES Act fund
federal
spending,
money.
and they
Anyway.
didn't even do it right. I mean, I just like the whole thing says like Senator Shelton should have got this right the first time, and unfortunately, people are waiting because she didn't, and now we're still waiting. So, that being said, Daph, I'm sorry. Can we just get one real quick update on the economic impact payments? How many more of those do we have?
On the EIP payments, again, we did miss the 1 week when we were in restricted PCOR 1 because I had nobody in the office. We did process EIP payments last week and we'll process payments this week. What we're seeing is the payments, I believe, are in the just a little bit, they hover over like in the $1 million range. We're going to continue to pay those. We have until December 31 to make all of these, what they're called advance payments, meaning the payments that are going to be made for eligible taxpayers that's not going to be made when they file their return, because there are going to be some people who may not be eligible now, but may be eligible when they file their 2020 tax return. Thank you for bringing this up though, Chris, because there is a deadline for filing your forms EIP&F and filing your forms 1040 if you're eligible and you wish to receive those payments before December 31 or by December 31. We're charged with making sure that we make all these what are called advance payments by December 31. Of course, because of, we're primarily a manual processing system, unlike the IRS, which is, 80 to 90% perhaps, as I've heard different numbers, that they are at that level in terms of electronic filing. We started off having probably it was like 1,200 to 1,500 people a year out of about 70 or 80,000 filings. That was the level that we had in terms of online filings. Now we're seeing that grow, of course, because we're working to expand what's available. But again, please, for our community, if you're wanting to receive your payment by December 31, and you are eligible based on your 2019 or 2018 validly filed and processed returns, that you must get those in by October 15. Otherwise, you will have to wait until you file your 2020 tax return to receive it in that in that payment. But we're going to continue to pay. We've been assured, of course, by the IRS that as long as there's eligible payments, that we're going to be processing, that those individuals are going to be paid, and so we continue to process them. We continue to pay them out as soon as they are ready, and of course we have people in our office, making sure that happens, and that's where we are with EIP.
Thank you, Daph. Thank you.
Thanks, Daph.
Thank you so much for your time. I love how you just fit so much information. You're giving like 3 times the information per minute our other guests give.
Having us, Chris and Sabrina, and what, bless you, and really, what, to our community, what, thank you for your patience, and know that we're praying for you, and of course, what, DRT stands ready. We're here, we're public servants, our team is there activated, and we're going to always do our best to serve you all. So thank you for all you do, Chris, Bree, Jason, KUAM, and, again, have a great day, and we'll talk with you very soon.
Thank you, Daphne. I'll see you
Thanks,
in Mass.
Daph.
Are you reading this week, this Sunday?
No.
No, okay, there you go.
See you in the comments.
See you in the comments. Right on. Thank you, Daphne.
Take care.
Okay, 8:14. Let's just keep it going. Back to the KUAM News Zoom room, where we have Jesse Mendiola, who was just so gracious to take a little bit of time.